What exactly is saber fencing? And the short and honest answer is I don't fucking know. I really don't. The longer answer is me explaining why I don't know and why it's complicated. And in order to talk about that, I have to get into start at the very beginning, and that is that there are three weapons in fencing, and why I like saber as opposed to the other two, and what the vocabulary that they all share is, and how do you score touches, and all stuff like that in order to get a common vocabulary, common language so that we could talk about it. Hi, my name is Jeff, and welcome to The Weathered Blade, Episode 3. What is saber fencing? So there's three weapons in fencing. There's a foil, there's an épée, and there's saber. And all three of them have different target areas. I'm not going to talk a lot about foil and épée, but to compare and contrast them with saber, I do have to talk a bit about what they are like. A foil is a smaller, quicker weapon. The foil and the épée, you can only score touches with the point. All three have different target areas. The target area for foil is just the torso alone. Not the head, not the hands, not the arms, just torso, front and back. The target area for épée is anywhere on the body. You can touch the toe, from the toe to the mask. It doesn't matter. And for saber, it's everything above the waist. So it would be the hands, the gloves, your mask, so your head, your back, and your arms, and anything that's above the waist. And the other difference is with foil and épée, you can only score with the tip. There's a little plunger on the end of it, and that's how you score with épée and foil. But for saber, you can score with the edge, and you can score with the tip. And this is a saber, actually. So you've got a guard here, like this. It's called a bell guard, I think. No, that's on épée. So it's just a guard. This is the handle. This is the pommel. But if you can see, the blade goes all the way up and it changes. You're supposed to score with this side. This is considered the edge. It goes all the way up, and I don't know if you can see, there's a little tiny bump on the end that is the tip. So there's no plunger there. And the lamés cover the target areas, and a lamé is actually a vest that you put over your jacket that it shows, when it's metal, and when you touch it, a light goes off. That means that I have to get into what the electronics are for fencing. So you wear a metal vest called a lamé. It is attached to an electronic device. It could be either a reel or it could be a module. I'm not going to go into that. When the tip of a foil or an épée touches that electronic vest, it scores a light. When a saber edge or any part of the blade touches that electronic vest, the lamé, then it also scores a light. Okay? I know this is kind of boring stuff, and I could get into even more boring stuff talking about competition and those things, but I don't compete. I may compete in the future, but I'm not competing right now. So let's just say that a bout is 5 touches and a match is 15 touches. So there's 3 bouts in a match. And normally at my club, we go either to 10, which is 2 bouts, or sometimes we do the best of 3. So you go whoever has the best of 3. And very rarely we go just 5 touches. If you watch a saber bout, it kind of separates into 2 separate actions. I'm going to call them Action 1 and Action 2. Action 1 is where you've got 2 fencers on the line, and there's a box in the middle of the piste. And the piste is the field of combat. It's where everything happens. It's a strip of metal. So there's a box separated, and they just go at each other like this, over and over and over and over again, and it gets awful boring. And now you need, because both lights go off, now you need a director, to tell you who actually scored the point, dealing with very obscure and arcane differences as to like whose foot hit first, or whose arm was fractionally extended further, or who paused or hesitated going in, or who was fastest off the line. It is the least watchable, least liked part of fencing if you're watching it. The second part, action 2, is when sometimes they separate, and then it turns into more of a swashbuckling contest, or what we actually think of as fencing, where there's parries and there's riposts, and you're going back and forth, and some really cool stuff can happen during that type of action. And it's all determined by another phrase called right of way. Now, I picked up offside in soccer pretty quickly, even though it's a little bit complicated. Ask Ted Lasso. But right of way in fencing is crazy. There is no right of way in épée, but in foil and saber there is, and it can get. I sometimes have no idea who has right of way. One way to think of it is one fencer is on the offensive, and the other fencer is on the defensive. So one's defending as they're going back, the other is being offensive or trying to score. And that's the best I can help you out with that. You'd have to watch a lot and learn a lot in order to be proficient in right of way. And I mean, that's why I'm confused and I don't know what's going on. Many times when I'm fencing, I think I've scored a beautiful touch, and the director or the coach says, no, he had right away, or no, you did this instead of doing that, and because of that, you don't get the point. I mean, sometimes it's like a matter of where on the blade you take theirs for to try to get right of way. If I do it up here, it's considered a beat. If I do it down here, it's considered a parry. This would give me right away. This would not. It's the strangest thing. And when you're in the heat of the moment, moving very, very fast, you're not aware of that. So a lot of times, like I said, I'm just absolutely confused. If there's two lights, I'm just chalking it up to, I don't know. So I try to count only my one lights. That means that only one light went off and there's no confusion about who actually scored the point. So after 6 months, I still don't know what's going on, but it doesn't take away from the fun of doing it. Somebody's always there to tell you if you did something wrong. I enjoy doing it instead of watching it. Sometimes, if I watch something on YouTube, there's a really good bout. I think Maya Chamberlain was down 4 touches and came back and won at 15-13 or something like that, which is crazy. She was down 4-13 and came back and won it. But it's more fun to do it for me, and I'll just let the rules sort them out as they go along. At some point, if I start competing, I'll have to pay a little bit more attention. And also, because you're a director, whenever other people are fencing, you have to be the director. It's part of like taking turns. I'm learning a lot doing that also, especially when I have the assistant coach or the coach standing next to me and he's explaining why I got the call wrong. That's another way to learn. And everybody, I think at every club does that. You have to have a director and 2 fencers, 2 saber fencers. So anyway, that is saber fencing as I know it. Thank you for watching The Weathered Blade, Episode 3, What is Fencing?